Can you guys see the prayer? Are we on the right page? Yeah.
Yes.
Lama dang lama dangum po je zun jampe yang la chat se lu kangi lo je jimni jinja ni tar nam da jab za we jinye deng yi xin zik ji ni ki tu ka le bam zing kang da zi pe zun zhen ma ri mun tom du nga ji zir we Rozo kun la bu ji tar zi yen la zhu ju yan den sung. Ru tar cher zhu nyun mo ni lo le ki chao zhu zhu zi jing. Ma ri mun se du nga nyu gu ji nye zi zi zha ji nam. Nune da jin sa ju tar zi yun ten du zo jia zi. Tu gu chu zhao chu dan chu ni yan zhe dang lu mun ze jiang bei yan la du omara pa za na di 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 omara pa za na di 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 Omara pa za na di 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 omara pa za na di Zenden jeki chen rab usirgi daglu di mumun parab zale kadhan tenju shunlu topai lodu pope na watzel du so ganzi tawar du pam chunze diwar du nayang Gombo jamyan jeni ni gelme parajang tongwar jo. Hello everybody, welcome to our class. I want to start our class with some words of encouragement. So from now on, we will start applying the principles so much that they're going to become natural. Of course, I'm assuming we're going to practice a little bit. We're going to keep practicing, right? We're not going to drop the towel. Because now every time we see a word that we're learning, we have to read it in Tibetan. So it's not that we have to just solely focus on how to read without knowing what it means, which, as a side note, many people in Nepal do, who are not non-native speakers, and even native speakers don't actually understand more than half of the texts because the grammar is so different and the vocabulary is so different. So of course, I'm not encouraging us to just read and not understand. But what I'm saying is, as we begin to study the meaning of these words, reading will happen by itself. We just have to keep these rules in the back of our minds, and as we apply them, they will come, just like anything. It's just like anything. But study them. Repetition is key. Go over them again. We have the recordings, and this text we are using. I mean, this is a summary of all the rules. It's only a few pages. I intentionally made it very, very brief because if you just memorize these little rules for each, they're condensed a lot more. If you look at the other books I shared, I mean, there's like pages upon pages of how to pronounce, So this is the mengak, so to say, of how to read. Okay, the piece instruction. Okay, so these are our words of encouragement. Now we're going to today. Now that we can read, we're learning how to type and use the dictionary. Actually, this page I have to flip it to the bottom because I don't know why I put it in the beginning. So there's many systems of typing Tibetan, but the most popular one is called Wiley. is somebody's last name, Wiley. He invented it, I guess. There's really complicated ones, and Wiley is by far the most intuitive, actually. And this is the one like mostly everybody uses now. Even in academic settings, it's used. So this is a link to my favorite dictionary. I recommend using this. In case you guys have an iPhone, I recommend downloading the Tibetan keyboard and downloading this. I'm going to show you the dictionary that kind of works better on iPhone, which is this red one right here in the center. I don't know if you guys can see.
Yeah.
But if you guys have an Android, then this is actually the app for this website. Somehow, whoever developed it, they only developed the app for Android. I don't know why. So this dictionary, if you have, you can also use it in you can also use the dictionary on your iPhone, but you have to be online for some reason. Like, but if you download this app, the red one is almost as good, so it's not a big deal. Then the reason I like the dictionary is because it has all the dictionaries listed, plus sometimes it even has the Sanskrit and the Tibetan dictionaries, and you can click on some pages and then it takes you to actually PDF of a really old dictionary. So it has many, many resources. So the way we type, the way we type basically is like this. The only weird one is this which is an apostrophe, because we needed another right? Because we already have this here. But other than that, I mean, everything is a little bit self-explanatory. You type ZHA and then you get this one. So, I mean, there is a lot of rules on how to combine them. If you guys, actually, I'm gonna share a file that has more details on this, in case you guys want, more. Actually, I'm not gonna waste my time now. I'm gonna send it later on the WhatsApp, okay? I'll send you the file on the WhatsApp later. Better.
Okay.
Time is precious here. So, but basically everything is here already. Um, just intuitively, you can do it intuitively, I feel like. Okay, so now that's how to type, and now I'll give a little sample because today, wait 1 second. Let me share my screen again. Today we have our first homework assignment. So where's I wrote it somewhere here. Oh, here. So our homework is based on whatever we covered today. You have to find 10 words in the dictionary. Actually, sorry, I cannot read because my the cameras are blocking me. Okay, so based on whatever we will cover today, find 10 words in the dictionary from your daily practice text. So find 10 new words. Don't use the same ones that we have in our book that we have used. Then type them along with their definition on a Word document and send them to me. Alternatively, you can also write them by hand. Actually, I recommend to write them by hand, to be honest, because it's better for the brain, actually. It's easier to memorize if we write by hand, and then you can take a picture and just send it to me. Okay, this is just so we can learn how to use the dictionary. So now I'll give you a little example of how to use the dictionary. I'm gonna just share a screen again. So this is our dictionary. Say what here it is. Christian Steiner. The guy who made it, his name is Christian Steiner or Stein. Yeah, Steiner, I guess. So this is the dictionary. Basically, for example, if I'm looking up a word gyur, say it's ga, yatak, gya, shapkyu, gyura, gyur, I would type because is an apostrophe, the long a, g, u. Then I click enter, and then it becomes the Tibetan. So I don't need to use. That's why I like the dictionary. Actually, it's a lot faster. And also, it works the same on the app for those who have Android. I can just type with using the Latin letters, and it becomes Tibetan. In the Red Dictionary, I have to download a Tibetan keyboard, and then I have to uh, shift my keyboard and type it in Tibetan, which is also fine, but it takes more time. And so, like I said, this is one dictionary. This is another dictionary. This is another dictionary. So all these dictionaries, and then this is if I was to click on this one, it would take me to a PDF file with a page on this particular dictionary. These two. This is the tenses. This is the tenses. This is the definition in Tibetan itself, which sometimes is useful also. And this is Sanskrit actually on the bottom. So it's a very, very cool dictionary. Are there any questions on dictionary use or about our homework?
I just have a quick question on the dictionary. You just typed, I was under the impression that one of the A's is apostrophe A, but you typed just the apostrophe. Is it the same as apostrophe A?
Oh, it's because it's a prefix. So because it's a prefix, if I was to
Yes.
type apostrophe A, it wouldn't turn it into a prefix. So I didn't mention this. This will be in the document I sent, and that's what I meant. I guess this is the intuitive part I didn't
Oh,
mention. So
okay.
if you are if the words are, for example, I type gyur, so G-Y, because it's going combined, it's getting melting into the other one. If I was to type GA, it wouldn't melt it. It would keep it separately.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
So if the letter was by itself, then you would get that letter A. But because they're melting together, you get rid of the A's. You only keep the vowel sound of the root letter.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
Is that
Thank you.
clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so that's our dictionary and usage section of the class. So I just want to share my screen again. I made some notes. I'm going to incorporate these notes onto our notebook. I apologize, I haven't had the chance to do it, but please take some screenshots if necessary on your computer. So basically, today we start our more fun part. Personally, I think it's more fun than to learn the meaning of the words. So, so I wanna actually I wrote I wrote three, but it really should be two. Think of that from now on. Think of the Tibetan language having two aspects. Okay, one is words, and the other one is particles. Okay, so words are just words, like nouns and verbs and such. Like we can actually look at one word and figure out what it means. It contains some meaning. The particles don't have any meaning unto themselves, but they tell us what is the relationship between the words. Okay, so these are the two elements that are happening in Tibetan language. There's words, like normal words, but then in Tibetan there is this thing called particles, which, again, I'll repeat, they don't have any meaning unto themselves, but they function as to define the relationship between these words. And the usage of these particles is essential to understand the text. Personally, I first learned vocabulary, and I didn't really know the importance about these particles. So I went through my text, like I'm having you do guys do now. Like I went through the dictionary, I went through my text, I looked up the meaning of the words, but I couldn't understand why it meant that. Even though I could understand the words themselves, I couldn't figure out how why they translated it as such, Because I actually did that, and then after I think 1 or 2 years, I learned the particles. So this is an important thing to keep in mind. These particles are quite important in order to understand the meaning properly. So we're going to alternate between these two things, but conceptually, please just keep this distinction in mind. It's like a good concept to keep in mind. So like I said last class, we have nouns and verbs. Then adjectives modify nouns. Adverbs modify the verbs. Okay? This is a little bit on words. Then in Tibetan, there is something called the 8 grammar cases. Uh, don't worry about this now. Just know that this exists. I'm going to be pulling. We're going to actually simplify this model to learn the cases. A case is just, you can think of it as a situation in which you would use a particular combination of. I'm sorry, in which the particles would have a particular function. So some of these particles, especially the ladon, so-called ladon, is in three of these cases. I'm sharing this because, to be honest, I didn't learn it like this in the beginning. And so I thought there is this particle, and I was always translated it as having one function, and I didn't realize this particle also could have another function and could be translated differently. So just know that we're going to go over this slowly. Just know that we're going to start with the first one, Ming Tsam. Means name, Tsam means only or merely, or so this means mere names, which basically, yeah, it's basically mostly nouns. So we're going to start with this. What are nouns? What are the things, named things? So I'm just giving you an overview of where we're headed, but just keep these maps in mind. There is these 8 cases, and they actually come from Sanskrit. They're the same 8 cases of Sanskrit. So if you know Sanskrit, then this is the same thing basically. Okay, so 2 kinds of learning. This is also just a conceptual thing this is one way to think that might help us memorize and understand better what we're doing. We should always consider if what we're learning is just information. I mean, I wrote data here, but I guess information might be better. Or a concept. So, of course, there's concepts in language, like how the grammar works, how the particle works. But personally, I feel that at, at least, this is especially true for colloquial, we just have to memorize a lot of words and get a base vocabulary. I mean, that's it. We just have to build a database in our brain of vocabulary. That's just the way what it takes to learn a language. And that comes with repetition. I think I shared with Kip a while back. This guy, his name is Hoffman, Steve Hoffman. He has a really cool YouTube channel called Linguos Steve. He speaks, I believe, 19 languages, and he learned, I think, 10 of them after the age of 60. So he has really cool methods of learning language and really cool concepts, really cool videos. Check him out on YouTube. However, in essence, all he's saying is you have to bombard your brain with input. he says, don't worry so much about the grammar and all these things. Just read and listen to as much as you can. Just like drown yourself in input and it will happen. That's how babies learned. And even though we're not babies, it still works to some extent. So check him out. But in essence, that's what he's saying. Just like, just read and read and read. Even if you don't understand, just keep reading and keep watching movies or whatever. Unfortunately, there's not too many movies, but I know a lot of YouTube channels and Facebook pages with Tibetan content. So if you guys are interested, I can share some. You can just listen slowly, it will come. How to use the dictionary? Oh, I did this part already. So this is our homework. You just find 10 words and send them. I will check. If there is any questions, if you cannot figure out how to do this, also message me and you can send them. This is my email, the email I always use. Okay, so that's this part. Now we're gonna move to our text, which I believe I already sent on the chat. Is everybody on the chat, by the way? I'm gonna, because I'm gonna share things there. So if you're not on the chat, you should consider joining the chat. Okay, so this is the grammar book. Basically, we're talking about nouns. Okay. So this is basically saying what I just said. There's words and there's particles. All clear. There's sek and there is she. That sek is the dot. The she are these lines. We already know this. They just separate sections. So now, what is a noun? Um, there's two ways to write nouns. Just there by itself. Like, Claire, how do you pronounce this?
Sure.
Chu. Yeah. So this is dharma. Chu. So these are the kind of easy nouns. We're gonna have to start memorizing some vocabulary. So basically, a noun can be a word by itself. This is pronounced lam, which means path. Federico, how would you say this?
Da. Da.
Ta. Ta.
Going up.
Yeah, ta.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Ta. How about this one?
Is it for me or for anyone else?
Yeah, for you.
Okay. B.
Yeah, very good. Pe. So this is Tibet. They don't call themselves Tibet. They call themselves Pe. That's the Pöyik. We're learning Pöyik. Yik means word, but it can also mean like literary like language. So we're learning Pöyik Tibetan letters, literary Tibetan.
Well, where does the word Tibet come from then?
The word Tibet comes from, some people, scholars say it comes from the word Buddha, actually. B-O-D. You can see a little bit. Because it used to be called Pödgijal Yakap. Pödgijal, but they were trying to say Bod, Bud, body, maybe something like that. Some people say, but nobody's sure. But you can see Buddha, you can see a little bit of Buddha there. There is also an ancient spelling, but it kind of became this. So this is Naljor yoga. Maybe you guys have heard this word. Like, for example, Lama Karma's guru is Lama Naljorpa. He's the yogi Lama. And literally Nal means like the natural state. Jor means literary yog, the root Sanskrit yog, which is to unite. The Tibetans kept this jor, but they also added this nal. So it's basically somebody who is united with naturalness, something like that. And this is yoga. So these are some nouns by themselves. But then in Tibetan, we can also, another way to make nouns is we add these endings, which are actually here. Pa, pa, po, bo, ma, and mo. So if we add these endings, this is also a really common way to make some nouns. So James, how would you say this? Wait, James there? I cannot see everyone. Oh, you're muted.
Nim?
Huh?
Nim?
It's two syllables actually. You see there is a tsek in between them.
Oh, no, I don't got it. It's not nim.
It's
No.
ni ma
Ni ma. Okay.
because it's two syllables. If this dot wasn't in between, it would be nim.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah. Because it's two syllables, we have to separate each individually. Ni ma. So Nima is a son. So for example, you guys know maybe Chuki Nima Rinpoche. Ki means of, so he's Chuki Nima, the son of Dharma. That's his name. Chuki Nima. So Nima means son. Satya, how would you pronounce this?
That would be Kang.
Yeah.
Kangpa.
Kangpa, exactly. Excellent. So Kangpa means house. Very, very, very useful. It also means building, house. This word's a little bit more flexible in Tibetan. And Zen, how would you pronounce this one? I don't know if Zen is there or not.
Tomo.
Tonmo, very good. What about this one?
Ngowo.
Ngowo. Yeah, very good. So basically, in essence, what this is saying is that another way to form nouns is you can add one of these endings here, and then it becomes a noun. And just so you know, this ending can also be dropped, and then it still holds that meaning. So this ending is attachable and disposable both. But this would be the full form of the word would be with this ending, and which makes it into a noun. That's one function, but another function that this has is if you add one of those endings also, it becomes basically an ER in English, like a do-er. For example, here it's called an agent. So Chö means Dharma. So a Chöpa means a Dharma practitioner. Literally, it will be a Dharmer, in English. It just doesn't work in English like that. English is not as flexible as Tibetan. Tibetan is really extremely flexible. You can add, you can drop things, you can mix them. That's why it's so difficult to translate into English. So this is an example. You can just add a pa. For example, milarepa, right? Re means cotton. So repa means the wearer of cotton. So Mila is his family's name. So he's the wearer of cotton of the Mila family, something like that, Milarepa. That's why there is also Re Chungpa, his disciple. Chung means small. So this would be Repa Chung, really, but they dropped the Pa in this case, and he's called the little Repa, Re Chung. And then the Pa they added in the end. So Tapa would be a horse rider. Ta, horse. So Pö is Tibet. Pöpa is Tibetan. So you can see if you add that, in this case, they're only using Pa. So Naljor is yoga, and Naljorpa, like I was saying before, Lama Naljorpa, he's the yogin Lama. So keep how you pronounce this.
So the nya is the root, and so is
Actually, I'll tell you, I'll give you a clue. Nga is not the root.
so I'm guessing that sa is the root, so that it's a secondary
Exactly.
prefix.
Exactly. Suffix, yeah, secondary suffix.
So that's a psalm for the,
Yes.
and then for the
Sang.
second, and then that's a I just have to go. So I don't know how to say that. It would take me 30 minutes to break that down.
Basically, the root letter is ga. Ga, like low pitch if it was by itself. Because there is a attachment on the top, it becomes a high pitch or a normal sound ga. G sound in English, ga. But because there is that yatak, it becomes gia. And because it's vowel, and it also drops the suffix. So it becomes ge.
Yeah.
So this is Sangye. It means Buddha. That's the Tibetan word for Buddha. And it's many people's name also. They're called Buddha or Sangye. By the way, you might hear me say Sangye, not Sangye, because actually my one of my main teachers is Kampa, and the Kampas will say Sangye. So I apologize for. I'm gonna try to stay consistent, Sangye, with what I'm saying, which is the central pronunciation, Sangye. Sangye means Buddha, so Sangyepa means Buddhist.
Can you explain why Nong is not the root letter and Sa is?
Yes, because this is a secondary suffix. So there is, whenever you see a Sa in the end, is a red flag that 95% of the time the first one would be the root, because the only secondary suffix, the only that can be a secondary suffix is Sa. Any other time, if you see three letters, the middle one would be the letter. And also, I know that Sa is not allowed to be a prefix also. So there's two things happening that are telling me this is not the root letter is not Ga. Because Sa cannot be a prefix, whereas Sa can be a secondary suffix. Is that clear? Yeah.
Yes, thank
Slowly,
you.
slowly, the rules will come. And like I said, I had to restudy all these rules to teach you guys. I had forgotten all of them because I don't think about them anymore, you know. So I want you guys to get to that point also. You just have to read a lot, spend your time. And by I may have said it before, but it's worth repeating. The best way to study is short and sweet sessions, and many of them. Like, don't feel like you are gonna sit and cram all the rules in 1 hour. I would personally, I would just sit for 10 minutes. And also, I think I also said this before, but like I'm sitting on my desk. I have a desk in front of me. It's like a little table. I'm sitting on the ground on this little table. And then I have my notebook with me. So this is where I write some things that I'm currently memorizing. And I just have it open in front of me next to my computer. So I'm working and then I look at it. And when I look at it, I'm like, oh, I'm memorizing that. And then I drop it. And it seems to go into my brain without much effort. I'm not even bothering to take the time off to memorize these words. I just keep this little notebook open, and I keep it open for a few days or until whatever long it takes for me to memorize these words. And then I just make a new page and add more words slowly. So as I am working and I find a new word that I don't know, or a new concept or whatever I'm trying to memorize, I write it on my notebook and then I just have it open. I mean, it's just a little one, so it doesn't take much space. This is the size. This is another method that I think is useful. I think we have to use these little tricks to help us internalize the information. Okay. Going back to these letters, sometimes this might change the gender. This is some examples. So Naljorpa is yogi, a male yogi. Naljorma is a female. So the pa is sometimes associated, not all the time, but sometimes with masculine, and ma or mo with female. So Jalpo is king, Jalmo is queen. Hla is god, Hlamo is goddess. Bhu is son, Bhumo is daughter. So you can see this might tell you the gender also. Is that clear so far as nouns? Yeah. If there is any questions, please interrupt me.
Just a question.
Sure.
Sometimes it's ma, sometimes it's mo, pa, and po. Is there a rule to determine which of the two, or it's just by word by word?
There is a rule actually. It's a very complicated rule.
Mm-hmm.
So I
So it's better memorizing it on a
Yeah.
case by case basis.
Yeah. Personally, I think even the rule is very inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, it's just a matter of repetition. I think in this case, that's how I learned it. You just see it all over. It doesn't sound right if it's not the right one, you know. But yeah, there is a grammatical rule and it is related to these males and female letters. I think it's in that text that I shared a while ago of colloquial Tibetan. If you want to look, you can look it up there. But I recommend just slowly it will come because even the rule is not consistent.
But by the way, just another quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
Am I interrupting anyone?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. We can take turns.
Okay. I was going to ask beforehand, but I will squeeze it in now. When you said you memorize words, of course it's relative, but roughly, how many words per day would you recommend memorizing? Of the order of 3, 4, or like 20 or 200? I mean, what is the typical reasonable amount to progress? Again, reasonably.
Yeah, I mean it really depends on one's available time.
Yeah.
I mean nowadays I'm doing this other work. I haven't been devoting a lot of time to Tibetan language, so I'm being very lazy. So the way I see it is one thing is at least not to lose what you have. That's the minimum effort, you know. I mean, at least I don't want to forget what I have learned, because if I completely let it go, I do my prayers every day, so I won't forget those words at least. But if I'm not reading new things, at least I force myself to listen or to read a little bit every day just to not forget. I mean, that's the minimum stage. It's basically, I feel like if I'm driving a car, sometimes I'm going first gear, second gear. I mean, if I'm studying at the university here, then I'm going like on fourth or fifth. Like I have to memorize. I think there they made us memorize per week 40 words in colloquial and 10, I think 10 words on classical.
Oh,
So like
you were studying both simultaneously.
Yeah, I was taking both classes. So that's how many they were expecting us. But to be honest, I feel like that's too much because recently I found a notebook. And then in that notebook that I wrote basically before my vocabulary exam, I would just pull out of my brain all the words and just write everything. So I have all these random papers with random words. and I found one of these papers, and I couldn't remember some of the words, So
Yeah.
it seems like it was too much, and also it's not words that I used. So I would also, to be honest, what I would do is think, is this word, how pervasive is this word, For example, these words here in this book, all these words are really used, But if you're gonna get a word that is really obscure, and you're gonna occasionally see, like, I mean, just by the virtue of not using it so much, it just kind of goes into the depths of your memory. But then when you see it again, it comes out.
Mhm.
Then to answer your question though, how many? I heard Eric Pemakunzang, Tulku translator. He said he was memorizing 10 words per day.
Okay.
I I feel like even 5, it's okay.
Okay.
But to be honest, I have been living in Nepal for maybe 5 years, more around 5 years now, a little bit more, I guess. And I have never put much effort into learning Nepali, but at some point I said, I'm going to memorize only 1 word per day.
Mhm.
And now I mean, I'm not super fluent, but I can speak, I can get around with Nepali language.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was just even 1 word per day is worth it,
Yeah. Well, that's a
Yeah.
great answer. Thank you very much. It gave me somehow qualitative idea how to go with this.
Yeah. And you have to test it also. You see if you're retaining the word. But like I said, for now, I would prioritize. You can actually, this booklet that we're using, I would recommend memorize this whole thing, because all these words you're gonna see all over the
Okay.
place.
Okay.
There's not that many words, and there's at the end of each chapter. But then as the speed, I think even just 2 or 3 words per day is good, Even that's fine. Like, it's better to have it solid and
Yeah. Yeah.
well memorized, rather than have a bunch that are like half memorized and they all melt together in your brain.
Right.
Yeah.
You go with 15, Federico.
Sorry.
15 a day for you.
Well, I'll give it a shot, man.
Yeah. You might be surprised actually. But also I recommend memorizing your sadhana, the vocabulary in your sadhana, in your daily prayers also. Whatever daily prayers you do.
Okay.
I mean, that's a free vocabulary words right there that are gonna be easily memorized because you're already saying them. Actually, those are the first words I memorized. I began to notice I had already memorized. I already knew these words actually, and then when I looked at the Tibetan, I realized, oh, this is how you spell them, and that's what it means. Okay.
I also have a
Okay.
quick question.
Yep.
Earlier we looked at the word kangpa. Does kangpa, is there a different spelling of kangpa for leg? I thought kangpa meant leg, or maybe it's in Bhutanese, it means leg, but I know that
Yeah,
kang is also like meaning house, but
Kangpa is like Kangpa is, I'm sorry, Kangpa is like without aspiration.
okay,
Kangpa with
different spelling.
the first ka. Yeah. It means
Okay.
both leg and foot actually. They have the same word for leg and foot in Tibetan. Yeah. That's why sometimes the Tibetans say, "Oh, my foot is hurting," and they touch their leg, They have the same word. But yeah, ka is actually ra katak. Ka nga kang.
Thanks.
Kangpa with aspiration is house or building. Kangpa
Kangpa.
and
Yeah,
kangpa. Yeah. Kangpa and kangpa. Yeah.
thanks.
But good, that's a good observation. Now, this is when like the aspiration and the non-aspiration is really important to distinguish. Yeah. I also in Nepali, not only do they have aspirated and non-aspirated, it's like Sanskrit, they have long and short. And before, people used to make so much fun of me because I was always mixing up. Because in Tibetan, they speak they don't have long or short syllables. So I actually learned Tibetan and then I learned Nepali, and I have a Tibetan accent when I speak Nepali, It's a little bit funny. They they think, oh, are you Tibetan? Why are you speaking like this? Because I learned the Tibetan vocabulary, and then after that I'm like throwing all these Tibetan things on Nepali. It's really, I guess it must be funny, some foreigners speaking like a Tibetan in their language. Any other questions? Okay. And then there's some exceptions, of course. Ma is not always masculine. Lama is an example. Lama is our guru. He's could be a male or a female, but it's non-gender specific. Lobma is the student of the guru. Uma, Dao. Remember, when there's a Dao, the Bha becomes U. Uma. Uma Chempo, the great middle way. Chempo means big. And yep, that's it for these kinds of nouns. So basically, to recap, we have these nouns. They can be one word, or you can throw one of these 6 letters on there, and then it can be either a noun by itself, or it can be a er in English, such as Chöpa, Dharma, Dharma practitioner, or Dharm, literally Dharmer in English, but it doesn't work. The grammar in English doesn't work. And then it can also imply gender most of the times, but not all the time. Okay. Now, adjectives, like we said, adjectives basically, they just modify nouns, basically how the noun is. Most of the adjectives will use these connectors, but not all. Chok means supreme. My Tibetan name is Konchok, so this is part of that. Chok, the second syllable of my Tibetan name, is this Chok, supreme. Sarpa means new. Nyingpa means old. But if this Nying had a ma, it would be Nyingma, which is the school of Buddhism that perhaps most of us, if not all of us, mainly practice here. So see how Nyingma, this is just a little side note, ma being more likely a feminine thing, feminine, for example, u, maybe this might be confusing, but since I'm already in it, Nyingma, usually feminine is somehow associated with wisdom, you know. So that sometimes they change it like that. So Nyingpa is old, this is the colloquial, but Nyingma is like the ancient school of the ancient tradition that could be associated with wisdom. You can think of it that way. But it's the same root for Nyingma, old, like the ancient tradition of Buddhist of Buddhism in Tibet, or Nyingpa, just old. So how do you say this, Claire?
Nganpa?
Say it again, please.
Nganpa?
Yeah, ngenpa.
Ngenpa.
Because the na suffix changes the a into an a sound. Ngenpa. Yeah, that's good. So ngenpa is something bad or evil. Federico, one for you.
The one that where your cursor is at the moment.
Yeah, this one right here.
Stan. Oh.
Yep, good. Sangpo. Very popular name. Sangpo means good, also excellent, good. Sangpo is also a very popular name. Many people are called Sangpo. Like Kuntu Sangpo. Kuntu means all the time, fully, always. Kuntu Sangpo, like basically all good, all noble. Sometimes translated Sangpo. Satya, how would you pronounce this one? Called.
Hmm. Well, I'm trying to remember what the ratak does. Let's say, oh, wait, that's the ratak makes it go to the third line.
Exactly. The third row. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that would be Jangmo.
Yep.
Jangmo.
Excellent. Jangmo, Jangmo. Excellent. Very good. Well, good job, guys. I'm proud of you. Okay. Adjectives are usually placed directly after nouns. Okay, so now we know adjective and we know nouns. We have these two words. In English, usually we say the red house. The adjectives come before the noun is modifying. But in Tibetan, you first say the noun and then you modify it. So it's flipped compared to English. Okay. So the word for red we have here is marpo. Marpo means red. Gunpa. Gunpa means monastery. So red monastery, you would say monastery red. Gonpa marpo. Gonpa marpo. Will you flip it? Chepa Sangpo. Good Dharma practitioner, an excellent Dharma practitioner. A good Chepa. Dewa Chempo. Great bliss. Chempo means great. Maha in Sanskrit. Dewa is bliss or happiness. Dewa Chempo. Nima Tsabo. Tsabo means hot. Hot sun. Nima Tsabo. Loma Sampo. Loma is disciple. Sanskrit is Chela. English disciple, or I guess it's translated as student, but disciple is more accurate actually, because student we usually have another word. Loma means he has a of the guru is the Loma. So Loma Sangpo. Kangpa Ningpa, old house. Kangpa Ningpa. Kangpa Ningpa. To be honest, it makes more sense in my brain that you first say the noun and then you modify it. It seems more accurate personally. You can think, okay, you state what you want to say and then you modify it, Loma Sarpa, the new student. Kip, how would you say this one? The sacred guru.
You know, um, I don't want to say I'm breaking down, but I don't think I'm capable of answering that on short notice. I would have to just think that through. So
Mhm. Yeah, we can do it together. What does la do when it's attached to anything in the bottom? Do you remember that one?
so does that become a ba?
No, if there is anything with a la underneath, it just becomes a high pitched la. La.
Okay.
Then this one
That is a
just,
ma.
yeah. This one also is just one letter, right? And
That's
then
a pa.
these two.
That is a da and a ma.
Yeah. How you put them together?
Uh,
So
yeah, I just
Dhamma, Dhamma, Dham. That's it.
yeah,
Dhamma, Dham. You join them. They get they get married, sort of. They merge.
yeah.
So we have La. This is Dhamma, Dham. Would you be able to say the whole thing?
I don't think so.
What about this half?
That's lam.
Mhm.
And that's it. That's just lam, right?
Yeah. So this is lama. This is our guru, you know. That's how we
Yeah.
would spell it. Lama.
Okay.
And then this would be Dhampa. Dhampa means sacred or holy. So Lama Dhampa, the holy guru or the sacred guru. Lama Dhampa. It's okay. Slowly, it will come. I would recommend rewatching our lectures, the previous ones, go over them again and again, and then make a cheat sheet. But slowly it will come. Don't worry. I also struggled a lot, you know. I had my little notebook in my pocket with all the rules for a long time. So it's better to learn something slowly and be able to keep it in grasp it than learn it quick and then forget it, have it be an unstable kind of information.
Understood.
So anyways, you guys get the idea. Basically, this is saying that you first put the noun and then you put which tells you how the noun is, which we call an adjective. Okay. So it's flipped in Tibetan. Now in Tibetan, there is something, I mean, here they're calling it compound words, but Tibetan, they have this thing that they put things that have the same meaning and they bring them together and they have like it's like intensifies the meaning, makes it more intense. For example, dhechak, dhe or dhopa by itself means desire. Chak or chakpa is attachment. So desire, attachment. Usually they translate it as attachment, but to be honest, if I was translating, I would say desire, attachment. I would just make a compound word. And this is one of the three poisons. Tuchak, Shedang, Timuk. Tuchak, Shedang, Timuk. Desire, attachment, or attachment, desire. Shedang is anger, aversion. Timuk is, oh sorry. Timuk is ignorance, stupidity actually, Timuk. The three poisons. This is Tuchak, one of them. Chunju, Chunpa is exertion. Ju is diligence, so, or I'm sorry, effort, they translated. So the Chunju is one of the 6 paramitas. One of the 6 paramitas, which is diligence, the 4th one. Anyway, so I think we're almost out of time, but just know that this is another way to make words. So for now, we are covering mainly our now the first one of the 8 cases, which is just nouns or words. And then we want to learn how to make these things called nominal groups, which is basically a line of words that then these nominal groups will get connected by particles. Are there any questions about anything so far? Are you guys overwhelmed?
It's okay to feel overwhelmed, though.
Yeah. Am I a bad teacher?
No, you're a great teacher. I'm fascinated what Stan's doing right now, too.
So, oh yeah, I wonder what's
'Cause
happening there.
I told Kip, we chatted about this. Like, this was never going to be easy. Like,
Mm.
in Tibetan, like, you wouldn't, I don't know about anybody else, but when I tell people I'm trying to learn Tibetan, they're like, what?
The same with me. Yeah, right. My case is worse
Yeah.
because I was studying Sanskrit and now Tibetan, and my family is like, okay, you're crazy. Yeah.
Family already knew I was crazy, though, so not surprised.
Tibetan is much easier than Sanskrit, though, in terms of the grammar and to understand it. For example, just studying a couple of months of Tibetan, we can be able to read our text. My understanding is that for Sanskrit, like you would need to study at least 1 year
Oh, yeah,
hard
yeah.
before you can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But by the way,
It's
I had a lot of ups and downs, and my teacher was constantly encouraging me that you will have a lot of downs and you just need to
Mhm.
be persistent. And the same advice is applicable to Tibetan, I guess. I just want to encourage people that it's probably normal to feel down, and you have to
Yeah,
persevere
yeah,
and push it through and stuff like this.
yeah. To be honest, the best way I believe is to do it semi-passively. That seems to work for me. Like if I sit and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna memorize all these words and I want to spend every day 2 hours studying Tibetan, it doesn't quite, it makes me get even a little bit of aversion.
Yeah.
I feel like I just keep my little notebook open and then I look at the, I look at my prayers and I just look at them, like, I don't know, somehow it goes into the brain.
Yeah.
We can develop these, like, be chill about learning,
Yeah.
and yeah, be gentle. We have to be
Yeah.
gentle,
Be
yeah, we have to be
yeah.
gentle.
Be somehow
I think that's
right.
the way
Compassionate
to
to
go.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so slowly it will come. Anyhow, I guess our time is up, guys. Please do your homework so we can learn how to use the dictionary. If you don't have a prayer book or a daily practice text, use our purple book, the Chuje. And then go over what we went over today. Just watch the lecture again or look at the PDF file I shared. And yeah, slowly it will come. Just don't give up, Yeah, slowly, everything will come together. I also struggled a lot, Yeah, and I was, like I shared with you guys, I was learning the completely, like, wrong way. I wasted so much time learning in the wrong way. Now, like, I'm giving you guys a good way to learn. I wish somebody told me this, actually. I wouldn't have wasted so much time. Yeah, but then again, my bad karma. Okay, now
I
I
do have
will
quick.
end the recording.
I,
Go ahead.
I do have one quick question, but I'll ask it after the recording.
Okay, sure. Let me stop this recording.